So you're getting ready to take on the Microsoft SC-900 exam. You already know it's a huge first step into the world of cloud security, compliance, and identity. But let's be honest, there's a ton to cover. Where do you even begin? Well, today we're going to cut right through all that noise and give you a clear, simple strategy to get you across the finish line. Okay, let's get into it. First things first, let's talk about why you're even here. The SC-900 is that foundational certification, right? It's really the starting line for anyone who's serious about a career in modern security. And you are definitely not the only one on this path. I mean, just hop online for 2 seconds and you'll see this huge community of people celebrating their past scores. It's awesome and super inspiring. But you also see dozens of different study guides, a million videos, all these practice exams, and that initial excitement, it can turn into feeling totally overwhelmed really fast. And that's the key takeaway here. This isn't just another study guide to add to the pile. Think of this as your guide to the study guides. We've looked at what actually works for people and boiled it all down into a simple, effective plan so you can put your energy where it's actually going to count. You know, the secret to this exam isn't about memorizing hundreds of little facts. It's about really, truly understanding a few foundational ideas that tie everything else together. It's been shown over and over that when you get the concepts first, the details just stick better. And that's what future employers are looking for anyway. So here is how the exam is actually broken down. You've got 4 main knowledge areas, or domains. They cover everything from the big picture ideas, like what security even is, all the way down to the specific Microsoft tools you'd use to manage compliance. We're going to focus on a few key concepts that pop up in all of them. First up, you've got to know the shared responsibility model. Just think of it like this. It's a clear agreement between you and Microsoft about who's responsible for what. So with something like infrastructure as a service, you're handling more of the security, like patching the operating system. But when you use software as a service, like Microsoft 365, Microsoft handles all that deep infrastructure stuff, and you just worry about your data and who gets to see it. Next up is the zero trust model. Now, the old way of thinking was like building a big castle with a strong wall and a moat. If you were inside the wall, you were trusted. The new way? It assumes the bad guys are already inside. So the model is built on one simple, powerful rule. Never trust, always verify. It doesn't matter where a request comes from, it has to prove itself every single time. And of course, that leads us right to the identity provider. If you have to verify everyone, you need a system that asks, hey, are you really who you say you are? That's what services like Microsoft Entra ID do. They're the bouncers at the door. They manage all the user identities and handle the authentication that's at the very heart of that whole zero trust model. All right, so theory is one thing, right? But how does this stuff actually show up on the exam? Let's take a look at a few questions that are super similar to what you're going to see on the real test. Okay, here's our first one. We literally just talked about this concept. So take a second and think about the main job of what we now call Microsoft Entra ID. So, are we talking about a federation server, an identity provider, a proxy server, or a firewall? And yep, the correct answer is B, identity provider. See how that core concept we just went over maps directly to a question? The number one job of Entra ID is to manage and authenticate identities. Simple as that. Okay, let's try a different kind of question. This one's more of a real-world scenario. You've got a virtual machine in Azure, and you need to access it securely, but you don't want to expose it to the public internet. What tool are you going to use? Your options are Azure Bastion, Azure Firewall, Network Security Groups, or Azure DDoS Protection. Now, they're all security tools, but only one of them is built for this very specific task. The answer here is Azure Bastion. This is a perfect example of knowing the right tool for the job. A firewall gives you broad protection, sure, but Bastion is the purpose-built service for doing exactly this, giving you secure RDP and SSH access right from the portal. All right, one more for you. This one's all about knowing your enemy, the common threats. What do you call an attack that's designed purely to overwhelm the service and just knock it offline for everybody? That would be a distributed denial of service attack, or DDoS. The whole goal is just pure chaos. It floods an application with so much junk traffic from so many different places that nobody who actually needs to use it can get through. Okay, so we've looked at the core concepts and we've seen how they show up in real questions. Now for the most important part, how do you actually prepare for all this without wasting time? We've analyzed what successful people do and we've boiled it down into a simple, proven playbook. Here it is, your 4-step plan. Step 1. Start broad. Watch a video cram course to get that 30,000-foot view of all the topics. Step 2. Get specific. Don't try to read every page of Microsoft Learn. Use it like a scalpel to dive deep only on the topics you feel shaky on. Step 3. Practice, practice, practice. Get your hands on as many free practice questions as you can. The more you see, the more comfortable you'll be. And finally, Step 4, and this one is the real game changer. Understand the why. Don't just memorize answers. For every single practice question, you need to know why the right answer is right, and just as important, why the wrong answers are wrong. That's the secret sauce, right there. All right, let's bring this all home. Passing the exam is an awesome goal, but it's really important to remember what this knowledge actually represents. Look, this signification is so much more than a piece of paper. It's proof that you speak the language of modern security, compliance, and identity. It's the foundation you're going to build your entire cloud security career on. This is just step 1, but it's a huge one. Mastering these fundamentals opens up the door to way more advanced certs and, honestly, much bigger and better roles down the line. So the final question isn't for me to answer. It's for you. Once you pass this exam and you have this knowledge, what's your next move? Where are you going to apply these skills first to make a real difference? Good luck.